Hey, I'm Amy over at aimforacreativelife.com, and today I'm going to be doing some art. I've got my sketchbook in front of me, and my husband's upstairs with the kids. This is the one place where I can work undisturbed. Now, a lot of the videos that I post on this channel are decluttering videos, as well as intentional living videos, because I feel like by reducing overwhelm, I can be more creative. But sometimes for me, the creativity flows from a place of overwhelm, from a place of sadness and grief. So a couple years ago, my friend's daughter passed away, and I just didn't know what to do with those feelings. So I did a portrait of the little girl, and that was just my way of grieving. I think a lot of creatives are extra sensitive people, and so I usually avoid the news because I do struggle with anxiety and feeling really low sometimes. But I think what's going on in the news is really unavoidable. I think it's really important for each one of us to process through our emotions about what's happening, and so that's kind of what my art is today. It's me grieving, and maybe you've been struggling with what you've been seeing on the news, the brutality and injustice of everything. So I know that art can be really therapeutic for me. So my hope is by sharing it with you, it can serve a similar purpose and maybe also facilitate some constructive conversations in the comments below. And my prayer is that we will be part of the healing of our society. So I spent a few minutes sketching out what I want to paint. It's a picture of George Floyd with his daughter Gianna. So this is the rough sketch of what I'll be painting. I want to pause and to say that me painting George Floyd is not trying to make him into a martyr. It is simply me affirming his humanity, and I am aware that he died with meth in his system. That doesn't change the fact that he was created in God's image, and no one should have taken his life like this. I don't know if he's singing in this picture or talking to her. So as a mother, I just really connected with this photo, and I wanted to focus on the beauty and the love of that moment. I have some photographer friends, and one of the sayings that they kind of focus on when they take pictures goes like this. It says, "Life is not measured by the moments we breathe, but by the moments that take our breath away." And with the horrible nature of how George Floyd died, my thought was just this photo here should have been the breathtaking moment that his family could remember forever. So I'm gonna begin with the background color, I think, and I think I'm gonna do green. And I know some people are of the opinion that by posting something on social media or reacting in some way where specifically to certain hashtags, some people feel like that is simply virtue signaling. They're not going to do that for that reason. But I don't think that we can tell what people's motives are. And so for me personally, I know my motive in doing this is, like I said, processing the emotion, and people do that in different ways. We're all, in life, people are going to disagree with us, but it's just our job to respond to life and love the best way we know how. This isn't watercolor paper. It probably should be a thicker weight. It's what I have in the size that I wanted to use, so I'm going to keep going even though I do see that it's wrinkling, and that's a little frustrating to me, but I'll just keep going. So I know that I can't live reactively, and if I was going to not do something for fear that somebody would think that I'm virtue signaling, then that I don't think is the right response either. So I'm going to be putting some content in the description box below from other creators and other people who have kind of addressed the subject way better than I could ever, that could maybe help people with processing this and ideas about what to do during this time. If you feel like, well, hey, I don't know what to do, how can I help the situation? I know, especially if we are trying to do our best to live a life of love, just treating everyone equally, it can be like, well, what else can I do? I feel like I'm already doing everything. And one response that I've heard is just to listen. So as a Christian, I really believe that you should love everyone. Everyone has value in God's sight. So I truly believe that, and in trying to live that out, it can make a person wonder, well, if I'm already doing the loving, then how can I do anything more than that to contribute to racial reconciliation, right? But one of the responses was just listening and expressing concern and empathy for others' feelings is really one of the main things that we can do. That's a good place to start anyhow. So I'm putting some links in the description box below of a conversation that my friend had with a bunch of other people, organized by her friend Queshonda, that I think can help with that goal. And it is from a Christian perspective of, what can the church or the body of Christ do. But even if you're not from a faith background, the perspectives and experiences that are shared can help us all understand each other a little bit more, hopefully. So sometimes my brain just kind of turns on songs when things like this go on, and one of the songs was Birdie's song from 8 years ago, and it goes, "People help the people." And I think that by allowing space for people to express their experiences and their hurts and cares is really a very helpful thing. I know for me personally, when I feel like I'm in a conflict, if somebody can listen to my side of things and whether or not they agree with my opinions, just allowing me to share those does a lot going towards us getting along, you know. And so I think that that is something that we should be doing as a society. Whether or not we feel like we have contributed to the problem, I think we can contribute to the healing of society. So that's my goal and kind of what I'm sharing right now. And I don't pretend to know the depths of what people are going through, but I have heard some stories recently from some of my friends' experiences here within the past 5 years. So sometimes by no fault of our own, where we were born, maybe we haven't really traveled a lot, maybe there's just not a lot of diversity going on. It's not something that, you know, anybody should feel bad if they haven't traveled or if their location is predominantly a certain way. In the last place I lived, there really wasn't a lot of diversity, and so when we moved here and there was a lot, I was really happy about that, because I know that sometimes kids will make comments without spite or malice when they're not familiar with something. I think sometimes a lot of ignorance comes from not having that up-close interaction, and so I wanted my children to have the interaction with people who look different than them, and not just in kids' books like The Snowy Day. So anyways, when I first moved here, we moved to a neighborhood that we could more easily afford, because it was a lot more expensive here than where we moved from. And one of my friends was talking about trying to find a location. This friend's in an interracial marriage, but her realtor did not know that, and so the realtor made a comment about how, you know, you really want to be in this neighborhood because it's more desirable, and she insinuated basically redlining practices, which, if you don't know, that's trying to keep certain neighborhoods certain colors and keeping other people out. And so it's definitely, unfortunately, alive and well, and she immediately dropped that realtor. But it is known that, at least historically, there are certain areas around where I live that those things have happened, and unfortunately probably still do happen. That, what, like I said, was 5 years ago. But then I recently had a friend who was looking into buying a house, and she expressed concerns about moving to a new location because they aren't white, and just maybe they might experience some judgment, and there's definitely that social anxiety thing. So yeah, I mean, in realty, it does happen still. As much as we would like racism to be gone, it's not gone. And so what can be done? I did a portrait a while ago of a friend, and let me tell you, the two things I struggle with the most are skin tones and hands. And so this picture, I'm going to be struggling through it, but I'm going to just try to do my best and challenge myself as an artist as well. Now, you can see in the picture, it cuts off here, so I actually don't know what his ear looks like or the rest of his hair, and obviously his daughter's arm. I just kind of took some artistic license and placed it there. But it's really about the moment and the sentiment. So I watched a YouTuber named Roberto who gives great insights about how to succeed on YouTube and especially help for small channels, and I really appreciate his content. So he did a video that I will post below for any content creators that are interested in it. Actually, I think anybody could appreciate it, even if you're not a content creator. He's an introvert and a sensitive person, and as a creative, he kind of talks about how this is all affecting him, and he talks about Black anxiety and depression, and so just understanding his perspective can help you maybe understand if you see one of your friends struggling and you don't really know maybe what's going through their minds. You'll never really know, but at least that could give you some background of what might be. One of the things he said was that he personally, as somebody who's struggling emotionally, needs more positive content to be put out there, and so he encouraged that, and so I'm showing up. And I was thinking of doing this painting anyways, but I think that was what I needed to spur me on to go ahead and post it, even with my thoughts, although they're not all encompassing, and I need you guys to post below your perspectives so that we can all just learn from each other and support each other. So my camera kind of conked out here. I don't really know what happened, but this was the part where I actually started figuring out how to blend the skin tones a bit better, and I thought it was going really well and I was very pleased with the progress, but then yeah, it didn't show up on the camera, so that's a little frustrating. Part of the issue being a content creator without somebody doing my video takes for me. I never know what's going on the camera end while I'm actually doing things, so sometimes I will lose complete chunks of my videos, but that's okay. But I did end up going back, even though it was pretty good there. I decided I was gonna make it better. I probably did the opposite, like painting over it. I tend to overwork things, so oops. Well, other than maybe spraying it with some varnish or sealer, I think I'm done. I, as usual, struggled with the skin tones and hands. Those are always hard for me, as you can tell from my last portrait. Sometimes I just overpaint, like with the baby's skin tone. But I think considering I've never been trained to do portraits, they came out alright and it looks like them. Like I said, this is really art therapy, just for me. It's not a commission painting or anything. It's just something that I wanted to do and to affirm the value of human life. But it's late, the camera's about to die, and I need to get to bed. I'm gonna call it a day. If you appreciated this video and watching the process of my art from beginning to end, to hit the like button and maybe even share it with someone, maybe start a conversation, and be sure to check out those links in the description box below. I just couldn't bring myself to do a lighthearted video this time. Next time won't be so serious, but this really felt like the right thing. I want to encourage you that our Father in Heaven loves you, you have value, He sees every tear, you matter to Him, and you matter to me.